millions will lose coverage. And joining us now to discuss his opposition to the latest health care bill, Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Great to be with you again.
Last-ditch effort to dismantle Obamacare, hearing from both sides today on how to push this forward. How do you think this plays out with this Hail Mary, as some people are calling it, to repeal Obamacare?
Well, I think it's not all that different than the earlier versions, same approach, and I'm convinced that what stopped this previously is not just the important vote of Senator John McCain, but the fact that neighbors here in Central Texas and across America spoke out, talked about what the impact is, not just in terms of numbers, but on an individual family and individual business, of repealing it and replacing it with something that leads to the loss of coverage and access to a family physician for literally millions of Americans.
Senator Graham saying that this bill would mean if you like Obamacare, you can keep it. If you don't, you can replace it, basically giving states the ability to decide how to use these federal dollars in the form of a block grant. Of course, Texas Republicans have been calling for that for a long time and would choose to take that route. What would this mean for Texas if that happens?
Well, I think this kind of block grant would be blockheaded. We know the experience here in Texas. We need only look at the dire straits of many families with children with disabilities and how the Texas state government cut services to them so vital in therapy and other services to help those children. I think we have experience with sending federal dollars to Texas where Texas only cut the for healthcare providers after they got the federal money. So I don't believe that will produce coverage, and that's why really every major healthcare organization, except for the pharmaceutical price gougers, they've all come out against this proposal. And they've come out against it because it will lead to millions of people being denied healthcare access.
Do you see any benefit to letting the states have more control of these dollars?
I don't in Texas, because every time we've given Texas more control, we've gotten less coverage and less help to people that are struggling to make a go of it. The Texas state government seems much more responsive to the people at the top and not to the many people who are the working poor in our state.
Well, I have you here. I also wanted to ask you about some voting rights issues that have been making major headlines, of course, with DACA and Trump's pledge to rescind it if Congress doesn't act in 6 months. But then we're hearing about these dealings with Democrats. Are you hopeful that there will be some kind of compromise on this?
I am hopeful, and I think it's really important to our dreamers to not lose hope and realize we can make change. I mean, if you look at the situation again as it relates to Texas, amazing that our Attorney General didn't think that Donald Trump was anti-immigrant enough and threatened to sue him if he did not cancel the DACA program. This is, as you know, a program where a young person brought here as a child, probably never known any place other than Texas as home, has cleared a criminal background check, has paid a fee, and is either studying or working, where we have a path for that person to be able to stay here. I think we need these young people. I met with a group of them again this past Sunday. One was a cardiac nurse at an Austin hospital. Another is a prosecutor prosecuting criminal offenses over at Travis County. Several are teachers. These are fine young people to contribute to our country, are providing many of the services we need. The cardiac nurse, he first found out that he was not a legal U.S. citizen when he applied to join the United States military, and he still has the ambition of becoming a medic in the military if he can get his dreamer status more permanent. Those are the kind of people we need, that we ought to be supporting. It's not just numbers. We need to avoid the anti-immigrant hysteria and realize these are people, and we need to see their protection.
One last thing on redistricting. The Supreme Court basically putting on hold the redrawing of these maps that lower court had said a few of the districts that needed to be redrawn. One of them was yours. Were you surprised by this decision from the Supreme Court?
I was surprised by how they did it. Very unusual move, but not with the ultimate result. It means I'll continue to live on I-35, so back and forth between your studios in San Antonio and in Austin. I don't expect to see my district one person different than before, and I'll just keep working in both communities, in San Marcos and Lockhart and the other communities in the area, to try to see that people get the accessible a representation that I think this redistricting plan was really designed to deny them.
Yeah, I think a change is needed in the future, though. I mean, how do you see this going in the future?
I think the Supreme Court has said it will leave this decision entirely to the states, and we're unlikely to see a change in this district until after the next census, so probably not until 2022.
At this point, closer to 2021, 2022
Right.
than we were the last time around. Congressman Doggett, thanks for stopping by the
good to join
studio.
you.
We appreciate it. Still ahead.